Hello, footies. Welcome along to your latest dose of footballing ultimate team podcasting goodness. We are Foot in Review, powered by footcoaching.com. We are recording this on Tuesday, the 3rd of December, 2024. My name is Dan Wimbush. I'm joined by the scout Nathan Downs and my main man Shaq Attack. We're going to be debriefing the carnage and chaos that was Black Friday / Thunderstruck. Plus, still got a few days to go, so we'll be giving some tips and advice for those of you still cracking away, trying to pack that elusive player that your heart desires. We're also going to be answering your questions on our general feelings about the weekend and much, much more. Again, a big thank you to all of our Patreon members, patreon.com/foot in review. Those of you who took up the Black Friday offer as well, if you've just joined us, thank you very much. Much appreciate you being here. And of course, it helps us, supports the show, gives us that feel-good feeling, and you get access to great things like custom tactics and this show early. We call it, as Nathan was saying on yesterday's show, on the shorts with John, we call it the Tuesday Club. Why do we call it the Tuesday Club? Because we record on a Tuesday, but most of you will hear it on a Wednesday, unless you're a Patreon member. Right, let's dig in, chaps. Absolute chaos that was Black Friday. It's been quite impossible to not be glued to the companion app. Nate, we had a question in from Adam in the Discord, just sort of saying his comment on Thunderstruck wasn't incredible, but was definitely a step in the right direction. It makes me feel we were robbed of the first 2 and a bit months of the game. I know you chatted a bit about it with John yesterday, but overall, what are your feelings been?
Yeah, I kind of agree. I used yesterday perspective, like that word, quite a lot, and I think this is a key part of it as well. I think it's definitely a lot better than we've seen probably right through the cycle, probably added it all together, as we've done with obviously the campaign packs and the best of in packs. But I think it's definitely a lot better. I would be happy if all promos were like this. I don't really see them continuing the SBCs like they have, because, obviously we've had a lot of the Flash SBCs, which is kind of a Thunderstruck Black Friday type deal. Some of the player SBCs have definitely gone up a notch. Some of them aren't to everybody's taste, but they've definitely started bringing out more attractive SBCs, shall we say. So I think it's good. I don't see it continuing in this manner probably until sort of Team of the Year, where they'll put a lot back into the menus for those that save and stuff. I think it's a solid sort of 8.5 out of 10 for me on this.
Yeah, Adam's second part of his question was, how do you foresee content going from now till Team of the Year, and do you think it's going to slow down or continue to pick up? I mean, we'll touch on that a little bit later on, but Shaq, how was your experience of this whole weekend?
Look, it's funny how experience can be really tainted by what you actually ended up with. If I came to this sport grinding the amount of I've grinded and didn't come out with anything, I'd probably be frustrated. But I did pack something, so that changes my perspective a little bit. And hadn't played for 2 weeks and finally got to playing this week, and I've enjoyed my gameplay because I'm in lowly Division 6, just promoted myself to Division 5. So it's a completely different gameplay experience that I'm experiencing in Rivals, completely different to what you guys are dealing with, because I did play the friendly mode and it was a completely different. Anyway, we'll get to that. But from a promo perspective, I think this is well needed. We all needed something to grind and something to make us feel like this game actually exists, because it's not, as Adam said, for the past 2.5 months, it's just been a different game. It's been a game that it was so easy to walk away from.
That was going to be my sort of follow-up question, I think, to both of you. Just overall, has it been fun, Nate? Have you sat there saying, I've really enjoyed being, knee deep in the NFC 25 in my gaming life? Has it been fun?
Yeah, it has been fun. It's been frustrating at times. We all want that, that Mbappe or whatever, the top tier cards, even from the best of the Van Dijks, etc. But I think it's been fun. It's given a headache as well, because my team has changed. I mean, I put a picture in our group chat up for the team on Friday, and the team Friday to now is almost unrecognizable. So, I mean, it's frustrating in that point of view, because I don't really know where to put a lot of these players. And Dan, you moan at me for my pat look, but we'll touch on yours in a bit. But you've got the fortunate, you're in the fortunate position where you've got multiple players now for certain areas of the pitch. You don't know what to do. I'm the same. So I think it's frustrating, but I mean, that's a very, very nice headache to have. And, I would take that all day long, and it gives you options for the bench. It means that I've got 3 setups in my club that I can have different teams for different, enjoyment factors. So I think it has been quite enjoyable, to be honest. I mean, it's just the frustration of not getting that elite level card.
Yeah, and John touched on this in the shorts that was released yesterday with the two of you, that, he's in that position as well, where he suddenly sat and said, I've got options. And we had a question again from Adam on yesterday's show saying that very same subject. But Shaq, is it fun? You touched on a really good point, and Nate sort of brought up in relation to my team. Said yourself, it's tainted a little bit. Your opinion of this weekend is tainted because you had a really big pull or spoil the game. You got Jarzinho Thunderstruck, which, game-changing card. My card on the table, I got Lillian Thuram yesterday and Maicon this morning. So I feel in that blessed camp to have had a little bit of pack luck. But my overall feeling is it's been fun, but there's something I haven't been able to put my finger on, Shaq, that stops me from really loving this weekend. And I don't know if we can wheedle out between the three of us what that might be.
I think upon reflecting on what exactly we're going through right now, last year Thunderstruck was arguably my favorite promo of the whole of last year. The reason it was so good was that it led up. There was decent content that was going through all the way from the start of the game all the way to Thunderstruck, and then Thunderstruck was like, all gates were open, the floodgates were open, everything was ready, and we were all primed to that particular promo. Everything was perfect, and we enjoyed ourselves there. But this year, it almost went from like nothing, more of nothing, and to Thunderstruck, where it's been a random amount of SBCs that came out. Again, even the quality of the players, if you actually assess the quality of the players that we received, apart from Vinicius Jr., Player of the Month, the rest of the cards are either too overpriced or not good enough technically, as opposed to what we were getting last year. And leading up to Thunderstruck, we didn't get many SBCs that were of the similar quality of last year. So essentially, it just feels like it's been thrown at us. We've enjoyed it because it's nothing compared to what we were having. But going forward, if it goes back to how it was a couple of weeks ago, that'll just be really weird. And I think you're probably in that limbo where you're not really sure what the future holds. Whereas last year, I think we all ended up, I think Thunderstruck just took our expectations and our motivation to a completely different level, where this year, not really.
It did feel like last year was a lot more, I think, straightforward is one of the words that I'm going to use for this promo. I think a lot of the SBCs and the upgrades and the icons and everything they brought out were very straightforward. It was easy to see whether that's something worth doing. The daily content was much worth doing. I think for me, again, it goes back to a load of little points that niggle away at me. I thought the flash challenges, for example, were awful this year. The requirements versus the rewards were garbage on an absolutely personal, selfish level. They've done their absolute best this year, EA Sports, to make bronze cards beyond useless. To the point where you may as well just get rid of them at this point, because there's just make every card a silver or something, or just have a gold tier and then a whatever, call them platinum cards or whatever, anything below 74, because every requirement is minimum silver players. Why have you got that? But that's an aside. So I thought the challenges, even from the non-bronze pack method point of view, were garbage. Like you say, the flash players, Cavani, okay, good, bit of nostalgia, we like that. And Elshar, he's a menace when I faced him, so I can't really complain about too much. But everything else just feels like, I think you're right, Shaq. You're at that crossroads of, do I really want to put my money into Saka? Do I really want to put my money into this player or that player? I mean, Vinny Jr. is out of their control because it's a player of the month, so they didn't decide to release that. They kind of had to. But yeah, it's just, and I think it kind of loops back in to the gameplay as well, because it's still not been able to paper over that huge crack of, you go back in, when you actually go back into the game, it's still where it was.
I think I touched on it a bit yesterday as well. When you've got some of these combo upgrades, it's an absolute sort of, it's a bit of a dupe, that, because you think, there's an 85 upgrade, brilliant, I'm going to do it. And then you look into it and it's like, I don't know, is it one of three?
185,
185 and 2 or 3 unders or whatever.
80 plus.
Yeah, exactly. So actually, is it not an 83 rated squad or something you need for that? It's quite a high rating for
84 rated squad.
Yeah, so that's ridiculous. I don't know who in their right minds, I'm not trying to offend anybody that's done it, but who in their right mind's doing that? Because, the pack weight isn't so much that, and if you get a guaranteed over 85, you're going to get a promo, and especially you're not going to get a good promo. You might get the base, that Braze Mendez card that I seem to get on repeat or whatever. I just think that's daft. I'd rather do them on the 84 player picks for an 84 rated squad, because at least you get a bit of control and that higher chance, and all of them are going to be at least, over that rating.
I think one of the things I noticed about content this year was it was designed in such a way that it manipulated all of us to feel like we had to go to the store. There's multiple times over the weekend where I thought, I just need to finish Cruyff. I think if I open up 2 packs from the store, I can finish up Cruyff. And it was so hard to resist that urge, because at some point in time, after doing your daily grind, you're still stuck with, I still have 7 segments of Cruyff left. I still have 5 segments of Cruyff left every single day. That's one thing. Secondly, the 80 plus upgrades. I don't know if you guys were getting the 80 plus upgrades every hour that you had to do those 80 plus. At some point in time, my club was dry of non-rare goals. So I literally went and I spent some coins in the provision pack. So literally everything for you to continue that grind led to being, you had to go to the store, as opposed to content being free flowing where you could just recycle yourself and get yourself to where you want to go. And what annoys me is, we've discussed this before, is the pure, it's all well thought of from their end. And that's the part that really disappoints me, that they've really thought this through from their perspective. And really, it's almost like it's just squeezing every little inch of you. And if you're knowledgeable enough, you just to realize that, hang on a minute, this is just manipulating me to go to the store. And this happened to me this weekend. It was so hard not to go to the store.
Yeah, and that is exactly what I mean when I talk about straightforward. Like you two have literally just said, like, right, there's loads of upgrades, but they're all fiddly. They're all like committing more players than you know sensibly you're going to get back. Yes, of course, you've got to buy a ticket to win the raffle. If you don't do them, your chances of packing anything are slimmer. But I think my experience this weekend sums it all up for me. I've had 3 very good pulls. As mentioned, Mycon, Lilian Thuram, and I got a tradable Hierro, I think it was. Where did I get them from? Hierro and Mycon came from the League SBC. Thuram came from the League Mastery objective, that one where you've got to play like games with 4 MLS players, 4 Eredivisie players. That I've been very slowly working away, chugging through the EVOs. And we will get on to some of the positives as well, because I thought that by the way, Flash EVOs absolutely nailed it. Please have more of that content. But yeah, it's not straightforward. It's not like you say, like, oh, an 85 double upgrade for an 83 rated squad, where you're like, okay, I know I'm giving up lots of players, but this makes sense, as opposed to an 84 rated squad for 184, 1 of 3. And it's just, like you say, it's all designed to strain your club. But as I've brought it up, let's move on from that bit to the good side. And again, Nath, Flash Evos, damn good. Thank you, EA. I've now got 4 Reading players in my starting lineup, so cannot say anything more than that. It's great.
Yeah, the Evos have been a very big plus. I mean, I Evoed Rashford and Dillo a bit further, although I think I must have missed one because Dillo only went to 86, so I couldn't quite fit him into the last one. So that was frustrating, but it's a great thing. It means people can get players, either they started to Evo earlier, they seem to be a lot more flexible in terms of positions. I know there's like obviously defense, midfield, and attack, but I just think it definitely brought some of these cards that you almost brought you joy that you evoed early on. It brought them relevant again. And, you know, some of them are not top tier, don't get me wrong, but they're definitely a lot more fun to use. And you can have them in your starting team. You can have them off the bench. You know, obviously, Dan, you're quite involved with the Reading Evos, but and you're a grinder. You play a lot of your main team with these Reading teams. So I think that's amazing. And it's very good for people like yourself that kind of has that sort of sentimental sort of attachment to certain cards and players, and it means that you're not wasting these evos. So it'd be nice, you know. It goes back to why are they capping it still though? There's still a few cards that I want to put in, and it had like one playstyle too many, or you know, just open up. You only get upgraded to X amount, you know, whatever stat it is. It only goes up to like a cap stat. Brilliant. You could boost like Kobe Minu could have been boosted phenomenally without sort of, you know, overreaching kind of from other cards. So that's still my little bugbear. You know, I think it's great having these here, but I still want them to be that little bit more looser and flexible in terms of what goes into them.
And they're missing an absolute trick with Evo as well, because I've said this in the past. Like, I have not understood their pricing strategy for the Evos they've released this year, because more often than not, the ones you've had to pay for have actually been worse. You could charge me 300,000 coins and whatever, £10 worth of FC points to kind of have stat limits that are in the high 80s, low 90s, that aren't going to completely break the power curve of the game. And when you look at the way these Thunderstruck cards have been released now, that's the level of the power curve that we're at, isn't it? We're at the most cards released now are in the high 80s, low 90s, and they're sort of, as we've seen last year, the power curve is being maintained not so much by face stats, it's been retained by roll plus pluses, by playstyle pluses, regular playstyles, weak foot skill move upgrades. That's where they're kind of gatekeeping and trying to keep room to grow, because we've still got 9 months left of this game. So they are missing the trick, but it was a fantastic idea. I didn't necessarily love the whole idea that you had to complete all of these objectives within a 3-day period. I understand the word flash and everything, but I still found myself having to, in amongst doing housework and stuff, just setting my Steam Deck to one side, playing squad battles by itself. After I'd completed all of my games, I just set it on semi-pro, just left it on the side because I just needed play games. So, but again, I feel like that's slightly defeating the point. But Shaq, your feelings on EVOs?
I love the Flash Evos. I think it was really nicely done. The only one change that they could have had is not have as many limitations that they had. Secondly, they could have had a flash timer for us to choose the Evo, but given us some more time to complete it. Like once you've chosen it, there's nothing you can do. So that's it. We've locked it in. That's your choice, and live with it. 27 days or 21 days to complete the Evo. After you've chosen it, you get 3 days to pick it. That would have been a lot, because I was, as I said, I was traveling. I was away on a holiday. I was trying to pick and choose and trying to get things done through remote play, and it was just like, it was fine. I felt it felt a bit odd on a family holiday trying to grind some evolutions. It just felt like the wrong thing to do on a family holiday. But hey, here we are. But apart from that, I think what I really have to commend EA was the fact that you could actually make some extremely meta players, like the Rashford that I've created. Thanks to Nate, he gave me the suggestion on Rashford to begin with. He's just incredible, and this is at least a 500k, 700k player that I got for less than 100k. So yeah, you've got to give well done EA on that front.
Yeah, they could have been very, it's hard, I hate to say it, they could have been even stingier with them. They didn't have to do this. I was just expecting just a couple of just general Evos the same way. But as you said, it's been able to let people have that more flexibility, which is, in fairness, though, this is what they promised us. This was part of the pitch for this game, that they were going to make Evos more open and more accessible. And as I said, if I compare my team this year to last year and the amount of, yes, it helps having that bit more kind of knowledge about how Evos were going to work. But I'm already in a position where I've got 4 in my starting lineup, which is, for me, absolutely brilliant and makes the game, even when, as mentioned, the gameplay isn't where I want it to be, it still gives me that nudge to pick up the controller a bit more, because I enjoy seeing Sam Smith score goals. So that goes ahead. But any other thoughts on the kind of Black Friday content or the weekend or Thunderstruck and anything we've just seen over the past few days, Nathan?
I think it's quite a lot of what we expected. We did think there'd be a massive push on packs. There was. We thought there'd be an onus to sort of drive you to the store, and there was. But I also think, I see your points on the players. Some of them are maybe not must-dos, but a lot of them are, when you face them or when you play with them, actually they become a lot better. I was saying yesterday on the pod that Saka's a could do. After deciding I was going to use him because I wanted to absolutely rip that finesse, I would say he's a must-do on my own experience. And I know that's not to everyone's taste, but in my sort of 5 or 6 games using him, he has been like one of the more fun cards to use. And that's an Arsenal player. So, things like that is mental. And Casemiro, I instantly did. Cruyff, I instantly did, although I'm not quite getting on with him. So I think some of these players are I think they're slightly better if you use them. It's not all about, obviously, the stats, like you said. So I think it was pretty much what we expected. I did maybe think we would have an elite tier icon. I was hoping, obviously, Cruyff came, so the name and the way that some people can use him as elite tier. But I was hoping for potentially like a 90, 91 rated, top card to grind. But that's maybe me being a little bit too wishful in the Christmas spirit of things already. So that's the only thing. But I think it's been good. I think it's what we've expected, and I think it makes it quite exciting to see if they progress with this or if they revert back to type of the last sort of 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, I'll get your feelings. We'll kind of save it for whole, player in review, and we'll talk about some of the players we've used and picked up over the week. But I think it's a good point to answer that next part of Adam's question. I know we've touched on it a little bit already, but Shaq, do you think it will slow down, or have EA now set a precedent of the level of content they want to keep people engaged, or do you think this has just been a kind of one-off?
Look, a phenomenal in game that literally could be used by anyone outside the box. And this year we have a card that's slightly not the easiest out of the box. And the content going forward, and I think last year around this time we had a Eusebio, Centurion's Eusebio came out. So I would expect that the content that comes out from now on in will be slightly subpar compared to last year, but hopefully it'll be better than what we have right now, if that makes sense. So my expectation is that we will get content. It'll still not be the ideal content that we used to, but it'll just be nearly good enough. But my other big issue is I still don't know where Fodder is coming from. I really am struggling to pack Fodder. It took me a while to get Cruyff done, and Cruyff's not a major SBC. So unless I actually spend some coins, I really don't know how to get the Fodder flowing in. So please teach me, Nate. How are you getting all these SBCs done?
I'm not anymore. I'm completely out. It's about 100k doing Saka. To be fair, I've managed to do quite a few because I did Patry yesterday, which I know that came after the shots. Patry, by the way, is unreal. So good. So I've got Patry, Casemiro. We've done Cruyff, done Saka. But to be fair, Cavani was an absolute no-brainer for 184 rated squad for an 88 Fodder, who is actually very usable in game. I don't know if any of you have used him, but he is actually tremendous to use as well. So there's been plenty there. But I also had, nearly 100 packs saved up before. I've spent some coins. So yeah, it's pretty much going to quiet down now because I don't think there's going to be a massive pack saving until maybe 2 or 3 weeks later where I'm going to start saving for Team of the Year because it's probably the next big thing on the horizon.
I think this will all be driven by the analytics that EA get, because has this drawn enough people back from going to play Black Ops and other games, and the people that sort of drifted away because of the, as Adam said in his point, it makes him feel like he was robbed of the first 2.5 months of the game. And yeah, I'm sure lots of people hopped back in for this weekend, but I think he would have burnt a lot of people because the first 2.5 months of this game were not good enough. With the amount of gameplay changes that we had to have, the way the menu content was structured, and just again things like having no player picks for months. We didn't, the EVOs were broken for a few weeks and things like this. It was all those things that were just building up. Has it done enough? Has this brought the feel good factor back to the game? I think there was certainly a buzz this weekend, but I don't know that it's done enough to make me think, God, I'm suddenly really on this FC 25 hype train. But look, we will see. I do expect, as Shaq said, I think we will see a bit of a slowdown till Team of the Year. EA does like to go in this feast and famine curve where they get us really hyped up and buzzed, and then pull the brakes back a little bit. So, you're ready to, because we'll probably have winter wildcards, you would imagine, again in the next few weeks. And that will be a big sort of pinch point that they will want when they know a few people will be getting the game for Christmas. They'll be getting vouchers and things like this, so they'll want to kind of get people hungry again to spend. But we will see about that one. Sorry, go on, Shaq.
You spoke about feast and famine. Do you actually consider this a feast? I mean, I know we've had a lot of content, but I still don't think this is a feast. It's great that we've all packed something. Yes, yay, we've all packed, but just feels a little bit unfeast like. I don't know how do I explain it. It just doesn't feel like it's a proper feast, and I want something more. I'm looking forward to something better content going from here to Winter Wildcard. If we have a lull period where no one gets to do any upgrades, it's going to be a tricky Christmas period.
I think it's a bridge.
Sorry, go on, Nathan.
I don't think it's a feast, but I think it's a bridge. They've started to mend that sort of broken crossing, if you like, where we've had pretty much nothing for most of the cycle. So I think it's definitely a good move, and I think that it's better than what we've had, and I think it's probably as good as we could have hoped for because it's been so sort of minimal before. So, I think that this is definitely a step in the right direction. I could see them kind of doing a mix. I think they would bring out better SBCs going forward, but I don't think they'll be doing them every day or even every second day. I think each promo will now have a top tier card going forward because, like you say, there's no fodder. There's, I know we're going to come onto it, but season points, SPs now very hard to get, so that you're not getting those sort of rewards. So I think there's different things they've done. So unless it is the most obvious move ever to drive people to the store, I think that they have to calm down.
I think one of the things that I'm finding different this Black Friday promo as opposed to last year is how many pack animations have you seen that are not Thunderstruck, even from your 8214 or those kind of things. I haven't seen many of the older promos walking out. Like I've not seen many. There's so many other promo cards. The only cards I see are either Thunderstruck or Team of the Weeks. I haven't seen a single one of the other specials coming out of these packs. And that's the part I find a bit strange, because all these other specials are in packs. And last year, I remember a lot of the fodder was coming through these other cards, these other special cards. They were filling up a lot of, they were making a lot of fodder for us. But this year, they're not coming as freely. And that's the part I think it's a miss from my perspective.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. And I think it was one of the things I wanted to bring up is that, yeah, these best ofs have been in packs, but you're just not seeing them. So I don't know if whatever algorithm they use, because they were really hard to pack when they came out the first time around, weren't they? It's not like they were suddenly plentiful before and now they've dried up. So whatever algorithm EA used to determine pack weight, they've clearly not really tweaked it. It all just felt like, with the best of team, it's all window dressing to me. This is all window dressing, like you said, Shaq, to just get you into the store. It's like this is, you're walking past a shop and you see this glitzy glamour. It's like, oh my goodness, why wouldn't I open a store pack right now? Look at all the things that are in packs. But actually, in actuality, they again don't really want to give you all those good cards. So it's just kind of to get you into the shop, and then you find out about all the hidden extras that it'll cost you to actually obtain any of those things. But and I think, as I was touching on with gameplay, they've done a good job, Nathan. I think I wanted to pick apart one thing you said there. You said, "Oh, this was the best we could have hoped for," and I absolutely disagree with that, because we've seen last year that they can do better. As we talked on, they can make easier upgrade paths, SBC packs, and things like that. This was certainly better than what we've got before, but again, it's only in comparison to the last few weeks rather than past few years. So I think that left a little bit of a bad taste. And the events around the game, and you just touched on the SP being in, not in gameplay anymore. And that was Ingvi's question. He said, why do you think EA changed the weekly season point requirements for manager, player objectives, etc. to playing? And why were they bugged for almost a week? So if you've moved away, you used to be able to go into like manager mode and do a couple of really easy things to get SP, and they've kind of taken that away. My whole feeling with SP, and again, if you've kind of been wondering why your season points haven't been going up, it's because they've now taken away daily, the daily objectives and things like that. They've now put them in friendly modes to get most of them. So I've been sat on like 5K basically since day one. Shaq, to me, again, I got my very cynical hat on, but this is all just another ploy for me to introduce that paid season pass. I think this is softening us up for that one.
There's two things. Just as an example, I missed almost 2.5 weeks of gameplay last season, and I came back just before the season ended, and I was able to grind literally from scratch all the way through SP without spending a single dollar or coin. I could just grind stuff in all the different modes. So at the end of the season, I'm hoping for those kind of XP boosts to come out so it can increase engagement, because they don't really have to worry about gameplay engagement at this point in time. So you would hope that when the game starts to lull down a little bit at the end of the season, they could potentially put some extra SP in objectives for us to complete the season. That's the one. That's one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is they could just shell it out in the store, and all of us want that Konate. What are we going to do?
I think the Konate thing here, I think they're slowing it down, because that card, they'll want you to work for that card. I think if you have, especially because there's a very high chance it's going to be upgrading when you get it anyway. The other thing in terms of the manager mode and the player mode, those reset. I'm sure it's on a Wednesday, is it not, that they reset? So it may be that they've just put that in now for the launch of the season, but actually come this week they may bring back the hat tricks and the give contracts and whatever else. So I don't know, I might be completely wrong, but it might just be the fact it already started into the way that SP refreshes. It's just a slight guess.
Yeah, it could be. And look, as for the second part, the question you said, why were they bugged for almost a week? Yeah, that's a good an explanation as any. But, they have shown this year that they can break things at a moment's notice out of absolutely nowhere. They just like player picks and stuff like this. The list is too long to go in for. So again, I think why they were bugged for almost a week is a question that we're not going to be able to really answer. But I guess if I had my non-cynical hat on with all of this, like, they did kind of promise that friendlies would be a bit more meaningful and fun this year. And on paper, I suppose getting more people playing in a friendly environment would do so, but I can see Shaq frantically shaking his head. It's just, in practicality, that's not what friendlies are, is it?
Goodness, the demons that are playing friendlies these days is ridiculous. I told you I came across multiple people that were timing their headers in friendlies, and I thought, I'm just not good enough at this level. I just can't play these games.
I think one of the issues is that they openly said that the form-based matchmaking would only take into account games that you play fully. And actually, most people are now playing golden goal. So on paper, you're getting most people now. I don't know what the limit is, if it's like plus 10 or minus 10, but I actually imagine that most people are, even if they don't think they are sitting around plus 8 to plus 10 because no one's actually finishing a game. So according to the algorithm, everybody is sat around that same 8 plus 8 to plus 10 level. So I wonder if that is why, Shaq, part of the reason why everything is so sweaty, because people aren't actually playing friendlies properly. Everybody's now just hugely clumped together. So now you're getting that completely random matchmaking where you can just get a load of demons clumped together.
Yeah, could be. That's probably what's happening to me. Because yeah, haven't played a single full game because either the guy scores and pauses, and I'm like, I can't be bothered. I just quit because I just can't be bothered fighting on. It's just not worth it against these demons.
Yeah, we'll see how that pans out. But I'm not a fan of things that just force you to play extra. I think there's already too much to do on this game. I think, especially because we've not even talked about it so far with the swap tokens being back, Nath.
Oh.
We're now being really incentivized to go and play squad battles even more, to go and make sure we get the top rivals wins, to make sure we compete through champs as well, and to then ask you to play friendlies on top of that. It does feel that sense of overload.
Yeah, I mean, we've said it all along. There's plenty to do. There's maybe a day a week you get a bit of a lull, or maybe two if you're very good. But there is, that there's so much to be doing, and that's me without doing qualifiers and champs as well. So for somebody like yourself, Dan, that does grind it really hard and does pretty much every mode that you can, and have a normal job and have a family life and have a social life, it's crazy. And I know you pick and choose and prioritize and whatnot, but there's so much carrying on to be doing. So yeah, I think at the start of the year we thought this is great. It means that you're not just logging on, doing your qualifiers, doing your whatever it was, 7 rival wins last year, logging off again until the next week. There is plenty to be doing, but the fact that there's tokens in and there's SP, it kind of makes you have to work it in at some point.
Jack, what's your experience been of the token system as well?
This is a completely unpopular opinion, but this is my opinion. I don't like the way these tokens are being handed out here. I rather want to go back to the way swaps were. That's just the happy spot where you could just sort everything for a while, just go on the swaps hunt for a little fun time. And I really enjoyed just going my merry way. I know it was frustrating because some swap tokens would be in an SBC, some would be here, some would be there, and I couldn't care less. It was at least right now, it's just almost I have to play rivals if I want to get up to 35 points if I want to get a token. That's fine. I have to do squad battles to silver, which is easy enough. And then on top of that, I have to get 4 wins in champs up after qualifying. And I think last weekend I had to talk myself out of trying to jump into champs, just qualify, just to get the 4 wins, just for the 1 token. I had to really push myself back and say, hang on, I can't do it. Just you have the time. It does mean you dedicate your life to this game to get those stupid tokens. I didn't like that part. I like the part that swaps was you just had this. You had 4 weeks. You start collecting them. You have friendlies along the way. Just do your own bits as you see fit. As opposed to right now, it's almost like I feel like a factory worker. I have to do this at a certain time. I have to do this again at a certain time, and then I do disagree with EA because I have a job where I'm expected to do those sort of things as well. So, yeah.
I'm fully with you there, Shaq. I was saying to you guys yesterday, I was getting some sort of connection issues with squad battles, so I was getting disconnected every second game. So I've got no idea, even if I'll make, how many points I'll have to make into any token. So things like that, I think, is very annoying. I don't understand why it can't be play X amount or win X amount in squad battles rather than get points. Because I think things like that, rivals. If you lose a rivals game, you just go back a notch, you can go again. Squad battles, if whatever happens, there's no coming back from that. So that's my own personal frustration. So it's kind of blocking me out because I don't know whether it's service or my own internet, but something was going wrong yesterday when I was trying to do it.
Yeah, but we've literally just talked ourselves around in a circle there because we've started talking about, well, we don't really like SP being behind friendlies, and now Shaq saying, "Well, I actually want friendlies to get icon swaps." So you can't have it both ways.
That's more chill though if it's behind icons, behind friendlies as well though, because SP like if it's over say 4 weeks, you've got a lot of time to grind it. Whereas if it's only over a week or whatever it is, then you've kind of got to cram it in with everything else that you're doing. Whereas if it's over a longer period, then you can do a couple a day, or say you can get 2 wins a day or whatever. Then you can relax a little bit more.
And I think one of the things as well with the way it's actually been formatted right now, it's almost driving everyone. For example, squad battles. I don't know about you. I find it hard to get Elite 3. It's really hard. I literally have to treat it like a proper mode, and then I can probably squeeze into Elite 3. Getting Elite 2 in squad battles is you need to be at a really, really high level of gameplay to reach that. So that's again, it's not even like, okay, I'll just do squad battles to gold 1. No, you have to do to Elite 2 if you want to get the extra tokens. So you can't really dedicate yourself to squad battles. Then you say, okay, I'll get one from rivals and one from squad battles. So essentially for all the grinding, if I do every single bit, if I earnestly do everything, I can get 3 tokens a week. That's just, yeah.
You've got the added conundrum of the fact that some of these tokens are actually quite usable players. So you might well hit on one of the players that is actually really good, and then suddenly that's thrown a spanner at you. I think I'm the only person in this game that is desperately hoping to pack Lewis Wing from Squad Battles rewards. And of course, week 1, no Wing for me. A couple of people in the Discord got him, but yeah, if you could send a Lewis Wing my way, please, EA. I think I'm the only person. I'll just put him on the market. I'll buy him.
Why could they just make a player pick that particular thing? Just make a player pick so people can choose whoever the hell they want.
Again, that's too simplistic, and it goes back to Renee saying it's all the best we could hope for. Again, it's not. They've nailed things like this in the past, like with icon swaps in the past, where they had open matchmaking in friendlies, deliberately put golden goal modes in there that people could engage with at their own pace, as you guys said, and get the swaps and have the options to do so, but they took it away.
Yeah, but you're going back to different iterations. I'm talking about this actual game. It's the best we could hope for, going by the standards set in FC25, not by EA standards, but by what we've experienced so far. And to be fair, it's even swaps is kind of what you'd expect. Champs, fair enough, they made it 3 out of 6, but 3 out of 5, that's eliminating certain people. Having it in a limited squad battles is eliminating other people. Having it in friendlies is eliminating people. So it's exactly what we could hope for in the current state of FC.
And that's the problem, isn't it, Nate? That year on year now, they are lowering our expectations, and so we're happy with smaller and smaller rations because the rations we got. We don't think about the rations we got 5 years ago. We think about the ones we got a year ago. It's like with League SBCs and stuff. I sit here complaining about I want a slight tweak to the copper section, forgetting that 3 years ago we had whole leagues to go through with players at the end and all things like that. So again, it's just the process we go through. But look, we spent 40 minutes, I think, picking apart Black Friday and the latest developments in this game. Let's talk about some actual players, shall we? Because it has been a good time for actually getting different players in your team, having some to try out. So let's go with our favorite segment, Player in Review. I think it's almost impossible to just talk about one particular player and review for each of us. But Shaq, I'll start with you. Which kind of players have you picked up lately that you want to share some thoughts about?
I think I will share a slightly off-center one. I Georgia Stanway in one of the campaign SBC player picks, and this card is absolutely unreal. I really enjoyed using her. Somehow squeeze her in on full chem into my squad, and I can't see her leaving. She reminds me of Saba from last year with extra. She's got a pink pass plus, which just makes it so easy to move the ball around. And she's defensively solid. She's very agile. She's quick on the dribble, and she can really pass the ball exactly the way you want it. And I really enjoyed using her. And she's not very expensive either. So if she can fit in your squad, I'm sure you have a Rashford or things like that. She's, I think, just around 40K, 35K. 100% worth your money. She is definitely worth every single coin that you put into her. She's just brilliant.
And anybody else you want to bring up?
I also would like to give a shout out to Fernando Hierro. I packed this guy as well as a centre back, and I just put Saliba out because I was sick of seeing him in my opponent's teams, and I've really enjoyed using him. I think he was a 150 odd K right now. He's incredible in game. He's got the Bruiser Plus, very solid, decent passing, even though it's a 75 passing. There's something about the way he passes the ball. Well, there you go. He's got a long ball pass. That's why he passes the ball beautifully well out of defense. I've really enjoyed using him. He's strong, agile enough, quick enough, good passer.
Like it. Nath, who would you like to spotlight?
There's a few. I'll start with Carlos Enrique Venantia Casemiro. Just to confuse us all, I just wanted to throw that in there. He's one of these players I have no idea what to make of him. I had him as a deep lying playmaker. I've put a shadow on him. I was saying to Dan that he's a bit too stiff to be a deep lying playmaker. He takes a little bit too long on the ball. But put him in as a holding player. His defensive stats are ridiculous. With Shadow, his pace is good as well. He's got long ball pass, so he can spread the play. So I wouldn't do him if you were wanting him to be a box-to-box or like super involved. But in terms of a bit of a destroyer, I always like to have a destroyer in my team. He is absolutely tremendous for that. 250k, I'd probably say he's 50k overpriced, but he's a Man United player, so I was happy to do it.
Hey, Nate. Stanway, CDM, deep line playmaker.
See, I'd be tempted, but I've just done Patry as well. So I've got Patry and Casemiro as my two CMs. So I think that's quite, they kind of cover all bases. They're okay going forward. They're very good defensively. Both got long ball passes. So I'm kind of going to set on that. I was trying to change my system around a lot, but Dan's taught me out with that.
Yeah, because you're trying too much. You're changing too much too soon. For context, I played co-op with Nath on, it was Friday, wasn't it? Friday morning, just before the promo got released. And we were in good form. I think we won a handful of games and really liked the feel of Nath's team. I then get a screenshot from him. I think it's yesterday. And there's about 6 players different. I think the formation had changed. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like,
No, it's the same formation. I'm trying to perfect
it's the same formation.
4-1-1. It's just a lot of different players now.
Yeah, and I think this is if I had our foot coaching. Let's see if this soundbite works. Foot coaching's top tip. My top tip to everybody coming off this weekend is don't change too much too soon. It might be really appealing that you've packed 3 or 4 good players and you just want to chuck them immediately straight into the team. But I would try your best to just gradually change and tweak things, because it's then harder. If then you start to go on a bit of a bad run, it's harder to find where the problem is, because it's like, oh, well, is it because I took out this particular player? Was it this? Is it the balance of these two being together? So try and go slow with all of that. Going back to player in review. Player in review. I'm just using it as an excuse to press buttons.
Love it.
Which players have I picked up this weekend? I'm going to tell you about Evo, Charlie Savage, and Tyler Binden. I'm not. Will look. I would tell you how good Lilian Thuram is, but I think a bit like with Shaq with Jarzinho, what's the point? Because he's an absolute monster. There's a reason they're 2 million coins. Fair enough. So the player I'm going to talk about, who is a lot cheaper, who I think is worth picking up, is Ashley Cole at left back. I picked up his Thunderstruck version. I had the base going into this weekend. Thankfully sold just before the crash. And Cole, again, just very, very solid as a left back all round. If you're looking for a player that will just give you versatility in those icon links, he's not a player that's great at any one thing. Like, he's not overly quick. Like, his passing's not brilliant. His physicality is not necessarily top tier. But overall, he will do exactly what you need him to do. He's also got the fullback plus, which not a lot of people have. He's got 4 defensive play styles. He has got whipped pass. And he has got technical as well. So could do a great job at left back. And for how cheap this card is, I mean, I bought it at 246. I think he's gone up a little bit now. I think he's sort of hovering around he's still about 245 by the looks of it on the market. And Chelsea smashed Villa. Is he linked to Chelsea or Villa? I just need to double check that.
Chelsea.
Is he linked to Chelsea? I was going to say Chelsea smashed Villa at the weekend 3-0. So he's very close already. Only needs 1 win out of the next 4 and 3 goals in the next 4 games as well. So chances are he's going to be an 88 rated card with 2 new play styles and a role plus. So yeah, I would very heartily recommend Ashley Cole. Again, I think it's very underpriced for what it is and what this card could be. So that is my player in review. Gents, anything else that you wanted to bring up on today's show? Shaq, I'll start with you.
Nothing. I think I've spoken enough in length about EA and Thunderstruck, but yeah, nothing at all. Thank you.
Nath?
Yeah, just to reiterate kind of what we said in the short show yesterday, I've seen a lot of people down about pack weight and pack luck. It happens to everybody. We can't all be Dan Wimbush packing £2.5 million players, in about 12 hours straight. If it's not happening now, there's a good chance it'll happen in the next promo or team of the year or something like that. So don't focus too much on the negatives. And to be honest, a lot of the cards won't make a lot of difference to how you actually play. Obviously, the Mbappes will, but there's not many out there that will really be the next level. They just look a lot nicer to have higher rated, but it happens to us all, and it comes full circle at some point.
Yeah, and a couple of things to finish for me is just on what Nathan's just said, and I know he's joking about my pack luck, but I've been grinding through League SBCs really hard, and my coin balance has probably been going down. What I would say to people is don't be afraid to spend a few coins this week. I know Nate said on yesterday's show that he's bought some provision packs as well. This is the time to have a little bit of a gamble because there is so much in packs. You may as well, okay, you might be down 100, 200k or whatnot, but you will slowly make that up over the next few weeks. And it's probably not going to be the difference maker in your team or not. So you may as well go and pay that. I look at the League SBCs, the price of it, that Lib Sud section keeps going up. But I'm like, well, okay, it's an extra 2-3 grand a spin, but the benefits of getting one of these big cards, as I did, outweighs it. And also just wanted to pick up on one thing you said on yesterday's show as well, Nath. You mentioned about Team of the Weeks and Shaq. Like, if we'd done a trading show this year, I think we would have our heads in our hands because EA, and this is a great thing for anybody who is relying on past strategies to make their coins. A perfect example, Shaq, of how EA can do one thing, click their fingers, and absolutely decimate an investment.
I think one of the things that anyone can do is just have a look at your untradeable stockpile within your dupe storage. You would see that you have more Team of the Week cards as opposed to having non-rare gold cards. That's literally the way. Well, I have so many Team of the Week cards just chilling in there, and it has just upped the weight of Team of the Week cards. Number one. Secondly, I think Dan, you literally threw this on me last week, where you said they released a Team of the Week provision pack that actually costs approximately 14,000 coins a Team of the Week player, which means Team of the Week players will be, in their minds, will be cheaper on the market than 14,000 coins, which really blew my mind. I thought this is ridiculous, and that's exactly happened. It's almost like EA has found a way to actually stop the tap from actually collecting some coins, because roughly the strategy was up until Black Friday, you collect all these Team of the Week cards in your club, just stock them, just keep them away, and this is payday. This is your saving loan payday, where you just sell all those Team of the Week cards and sail your way into the sunset. Fodder starts to go up. You sell all those Fodder cards that you've packed in day one that you just didn't think were worthy enough. From here on in, things start going up. You cash in on your investments and you start buying the cards that you want to use. He has just completely changed the tune this year. Completely changed the tune. So what will happen from here? I don't really know, but I don't expect Fodder as a viable investment, at least for the next month and a half, 2 months.
Yeah, and again, we've never seen this. The EA have released, 70 odd Team of the Weeks back into packs. So again, but what I would say is there is still that, me and Shaq talked about this last year on the trading show, that, your ISA, your savings account, Team of the Weeks, you might think of them, of course, they're not going to make you any money anytime soon, but I would still, unless you desperately need the coins, just still keep them in the club. And actually, I would say to people, probably go out and pick up a few of the 86, 87 rated Team of the Weeks that are basically discard, because there is that good chance as the year goes on. I don't know whether we're going to see this again. I would be surprised we see such a huge release of Team of the Weeks again. And certainly when we get into, and it's a long way away, I know, but when we get to May and the season ends and Team of the Week finishes, you'll be able to clean up for footies and stuff like that. Even if you've just got like 10, 15 stashed away, they are going to double or treble in price at some point. They already have a few weeks ago. And I wish I'd sold up then, because they went to 20, 25k a few weeks ago. So people have the majority of the user base has a very short-term mentality. They'll quick sell all these Team of the Weeks at the moment. or list them up for min value. And actually, if you do hold on, I'm not saying go and buy 200 of them, but yeah, just have a few lying around, Shaq.
Yeah, completely agree. Just a few lying around would do you a lot of good.
Right.
Just on your point there about, it's nice to spend some coins. You'll be happy that I spent 1.3 million on one player.
Ooh.
I did have the sweats. I do have the sweats, and I've checked. He's already gone up 40k. So I'm like, do I cash in already?
He's only been left with what, 2.5 million left.
I've got 2.5 left. I went and bought the Thunderstruck.
It's more violin for you.
I went and got Thunderstruck Rooney.
Jesus. And you have 2.5 million left after that.
Yeah,
what
I do.
Guy.
I was very fortunate. The likes of that Theo Hernandez that I got last week ended up being tradable, so he went straight onto the transfer list. I've been very fortunate recently.
Oh my goodness!
What a guy!
Why do we record with this guy?
I might just sell him anyway at some point because you know what I'm like having tradable players. But Rooney's quite nice to have.
By the time this pod gets released to the general public on Wednesday morning, Nath would have already sold Rooney. I did joke when as soon as he sent me the messages like saying, have you sold him yet? He is the biggest dragon of all. Look, I could sit and chat to you gents for hours and hours, but I know John is a very busy man and I don't want to give him too much editing to do. So we are going to leave the show here for the day. Look, again, thank you to everyone listening, especially to those patrons, patreon.com/foot in review. Go on, it's Christmas, give us a little present, subscribe. It's a cost of I think it's $5 a month it starts with, and you get access to, as I said, those custom tactics videos, this show early, so it's nice and ready for your commute home or your commute to work, and lots of other things. I said, it's the Christmas spirit, be giving. But no, look, thank you to everybody else who leaves those 5-star reviews, leaves those comments on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get this show, on YouTube as well. Don't forget, you can watch the video version and see our lovely faces and all the gestures I make towards Nathan on that video. And, just leave us a thumbs up there and subscribe to the channel. And again, I'm cynically, even if you don't listen to it there, it all helps the channel grow, helps more people find us, and just keeps the train rolling. So thank you to everybody. I hope you've all enjoyed Black Friday. I know we've picked apart a lot of the things we don't like, but I will go back to what we say after every show. We're still playing this. We're having a laugh as a group about some of the things and the frustrations, and that's what it's all about. And that's why you should, again, if you want to kind of join the Discord, that is free. The link is on the show description, and we're always in there having these kind of similar discussions in text-based format. So I'd encourage people to head over there. As for the rest of the housekeeping, Shorts will return for the rest of the week with John, and of course, he'll be back with a show on Friday. And I mean, Shaq, do we know what the next promo is yet? Have we had any leaks?
No, not really. There's a couple of things floating around, but there's no confirmation on exactly what the next promo would be, unless Nate knows. No,
not that I know of. I'm just having a quick look to see if there's anything, but I can't see anything leaked as yet, which is odd to the way it's been going recently.
Yeah, I mean, I think did we have something like, we had team of the group stage, didn't we, last year? But of course, the group stage isn't over.
They don't finish till January now, I think. So I don't know if we can do that because there's still group games after Christmas, I'm sure. Yeah,
I wonder if it'll be something like, I mean, I'm trying to look through last year's promo list. So we had Black Friday, then we had Radioactive. Yeah. I could see some sort of Radioactive thing come back. For that, again, those of you who weren't here last year, Radioactive was giving extra chem boosts in that weird, funky, nuclear design.
Bogey green.
Dynasties then followed that, and then we had Team of the Group stage just before Winter Wildcard. So Dynasties wasn't a particularly great promo. Team of the Group stage was pretty horrible. So hopefully EA can come up with something interesting to keep us occupied. But again, John and Ingvi and the crew will be here on Friday to talk through all of that. Gents, thank you very much for your time as always. Thank you to everybody out there listening. Only one thing left for us to do, Shaq.
Drop it.
Nath.
Drop it.
We are going to drop it.
Drop it.
F-U-T. F-U-T.